Well, here we're looking at the Dow, and this is what we talked about before, that we felt that we could see this come into the midpoint. We said that we have to be very careful here. We felt that that would be our first target is this 16,600, and to be careful that, maybe you'd see this go up a little higher, maybe even to the 16,750 or 800 range. But we felt that we were getting a little concerned that we were getting to a point where we were going to see some little counter move, and we started seeing that today. Now, let's be clear here. We saw a new high there, but not much. We saw it drop right back down, really, technically, where it opened under the 50, and that kind of gave you a little bit of hint. They break it past, but don't really take it there. But we did not take out the prior lows near 16,400. Traders were watching for that today. We hit the low here of 16,459. So really, we didn't see the acceleration of that. Now, this is what's concerning here, as people would be watching. Hey, you know what? Are we starting to see this kind of five wave pattern starting to happen here? If this is, we're going to start to see this continue to drive higher. We got to see that break up and over this range and start to really change the dynamic here of this action. And keep in mind, this has been a nice little bounce off those lows. But as I said, I think we were a little bit ahead and we were starting to get a little overbought there, and we could start to see a little bit of a backing off of that. Now, what's going to be important is to see the acceleration of that tomorrow to the downside or the recommitment to the upside tomorrow. This is going to be really, really crucial in my opinion, because if we start to see this recommitment to the upside, I think they may just try to take it a lot higher up into this 16,800, really an area where we're going to see a lot of potential resistance because for the obvious reasons here. But I still think they'll try to drive it up pretty significantly. But if we start to slip past this 16,450, 16,350 level, I think we could really see a test much, much lower, and people could start to get really spooked here because they're going to be anticipating a retest of the 1600, and rightfully so. And that's a 400-point drop easy. So traders got to watch here because we also have this pivot low as we start to break through that range. They're watching these kind of scenarios, and once it starts to break, they'll feel more comfortable getting short in these positions, as I would, as typically you would want to be shorting into this 50% retracement level, but you have to be careful and respect the longer term trend that has been up. So that's why this is so very tricky. I want traders to understand when you see not a lot on the board here, it's not because we don't want to buy stocks, it's because we are in a very uh, dynamic kind of scenario where we have a lot of volatility, and you don't want to be on the wrong side of that because I'll just be, we'll just happen to be exited those trades at a loss because we're, betting on the wrong side. And actually, you've got to realize what's happening here. We had a long-term trend. We've been talking about the trend has been weakening. And we felt that we're going to see a correction action. We correctly called that at 17,350. We see the correction action here. We talked about it getting way overextended and that this was going to be this target price, and we'd see a rebound, and that's what's been happening. So now the real question is, or is this starting to really change the longer term trend, and is this counter move going to start to weaken and start to really show a potential top happening, or are they going to try to jam it higher here just toward the end of the year, and then the overall weakness of the longer term trend come back into play, and then we start to see this? Because I do think this comes down. It's just a question of where are we going to start to see this? Are they going to drive a little further? And based upon several days up, it makes sense that we're seeing this little pullback. So this is a normal pullback, or could be considered. So unless we really see the confirmation of that, I can't get extremely bearish here, but I can't get overly optimistic of the long side either. So I'm really in a neutral kind of situation till the overall market dictates what they're going to be doing here. And I think it's going to be very, very clear. And then we're going to make sure that we are taking advantage of that on the board. I'm still going to, at this time, start to look for some puts or short positions on some stocks that I think are rounding off and topping out. I still think that we are in a very dangerous marketplace that could easily start to break down very significantly. So they could drive this higher. It's just a question of where are we going to get in on our entry here. And I'd rather be a little more sure that we're going to start to see that breakdown. I'm pretty sure we're going to start to see it. But again, I think it only makes sense to see tomorrow's trading. If we can really see them drive it past that 16,600, they'll move it another 200 points or so. And then I think it's a little more safer to come in on and watch how they trade that for the commitment. But I think that if we're going to start to see a significant move to the downside or upside, it'll be tomorrow, and we'll see their bigger commitment, and everybody's going to know it.